Hey everybody, Massachusetts Prepper here. Normally I don't do these types of videos, but I feel this is one that I really need to do. A lot of you may have noticed that there's not as many ads on videos that you're watching these days. I went back and looked at all the channels that I've had, and all of my monetization has been taken away. Now this is affecting everyone in the YouTube community, no matter whether you're a huge channel or a small channel. I've noticed over the last few months that the CPM has dropped dramatically. So where I was making a little bit of money up here, now the money's way down here. You know, unfortunately what has happened is one of the bigger media outlets, I'm not going to mention any names because, you know, I just don't want to throw names out there, but one of these really big media outlets took and started, they actually wrote an article letting some of the bigger companies that put ad revenue into YouTube, they let them know that there was a possibility that their ad revenue was being used for, let's just say, to support extremists. Okay? So a lot of these larger companies immediately started pulling their ad revenue from YouTube. That number of companies has grown dramatically over the last, just week, from these companies just pulling out of YouTube. It's estimated that there will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 million to $1 billion lost in ad revenue from these companies all pulling out. Now this media outlet went and started talking to all these other companies and saying, hey, are you going to follow suit with what some of these other companies are doing, pulling your money from YouTube, or are you going to keep funding these extremist organizations out there that are, you know, putting up videos and making money off your ad revenue? Because basically what happens is the big companies pay for their ad revenue, you know, their ads to go on to our YouTube videos. People watch those ads, click those ads or whatever, or let those ads run, and we, the creators, make a little bit of pocket change. So what happens is, let's say out of that $1 billion a year in ad revenue, Google keeps part of that, you know, half of that money, basically to pay to keep the servers up and everything on YouTube, you know, to pay for those servers and all that good stuff. And the other half of that revenue is dispersed out there amongst us, the creators. So this media outlet is, you know, going to all these companies saying, hey, you're funding extremist, you know, organizations, and they're all pulling their ad revenue and telling YouTube and Google, hey, until you get a handle on this, we're no longer going to take and advertise, you know, on your platform. Now this could be the beginning of the end for YouTube as we know it, because the bottom line is, if YouTube can't fund the servers, Google's not going to absorb all that cost of these servers, you know, because let's face it, there is millions and millions of videos out there, and it takes up a huge amount of server space to have all these videos on YouTube for us to go and check them out whenever we want. Google's not going to absorb that kind of cost to keep these server farms up and running and not making any money off it. So YouTube as we know it could come to a screeching halt, kind of a crash and burn scenario. Or, you know, those people that do subscribe to YouTube Red, you know, if enough people are subscribing to YouTube Red, then there could be enough revenue coming in where, you know, Google says, okay, this is still profitable. But at the point where YouTube no longer becomes profitable, they will shut it down. And that you can be assured of, because no company is going to run a business at a loss for very long. So what does this mean for you and I as creators? Well, you know, for myself, that little bit of pocket change that was coming in every month, that helped pay for the, you know, the postage and handling on sending out stickers and sending out packages, the giveaways, you know, all the stuff that I do here on my channel. That money also helped purchase some small items. You know, we're not talking, you know, a living here on YouTube. We're talking being able to pay postage, pick up a small item every, now and then. The larger purchases you guys see me make, like the camera that I'm shooting this on, the M6, that comes out of my pocket because it's something I like and something that I wanted to buy. So YouTube does not fund those types of purchases, but it does fund all the postage and handling and the giveaways and stuff that I do here on my channel. So what does it mean for everyone else out there? A lot of people don't monetize. A lot of people just use AdSense, and they have to wait until they get $100, before it gets paid out to them. That doesn't affect as many people because a lot of people have been doing YouTube for years and have never collected the first penny off their AdSense. Other people like myself and others, get a check every month, because our videos generate enough revenue where we can get paid. Or you get partnered with someone, another networking organization who pays you out if you don't have $100 in your account. And that's great. That helps, cover all these little things like postage and stuff. So the bottom line is, this is going to affect all of us because the CPM has dropped dramatically. There's not as many advertisers. I think out of the 30 videos that I have watched this morning alone, one video had an ad on it. Salivate Metal, kudos to you, brother, because your video had an ad on it. Like I said at the beginning of this, I went and checked on all of my old channels that are no longer up. They're still up, they're still there, but I haven't put content on them. They all were monetized. All the videos are still monetized. Not the first video has an ad playing on it. Now, I know it's probably because my channel is being deemed as an extremist channel because of the name, not because of the content, because of the name. Massachusetts Prepper. And from my understanding, a lot of these organizations, these big companies, they're seeing anything with a derogatory name or description or whatever as non-fundable. Okay, they're not going to put their ads on these channels. And when you think of Prepper, you immediately go to Doomsday Prepper because it was, the mainstream prepping TV series and everything. So everybody thinks of a Doomsday Prepper when you say Prepper. And that is not the kind of content they want to support, put their ads on. They don't want to be associated with it. So I may have to change my name if I ever want to see any ad revenue come back to my channel. Now, I am going to ride this out for a little while and see what happens, because it could be, YouTube will put some algorithms in place or whatever, or some software in place, and try to alleviate some of this and get the big the bigger companies to come back and put their ads back on YouTube once again. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I think that we are probably going down a totally new road for YouTube. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, I'm just going to move to another platform that doesn't censor the ads and all this. Well, guess what? Those other platforms are going to have the same problem, because none of these big companies are going to put their ads on videos on any of those platforms. So it doesn't matter what platform you go to. The big companies like AT&T, Verizon, Walmart, Johnson & Johnson's, all these big companies that have pulled out are not going to put their ads on anything that it could be just thrown out there onto, what they consider an extremist type video. They don't want to sponsor that kind of stuff. YouTube could be coming to an end, or it could be totally revamped. I'm not sure how things are going to go. I'm not sure if there's enough YouTube Red subscriptions out there to warrant keeping YouTube up and running. Now, all of this is hypothetical. I don't have an inside, an inside source that's giving me information. This is just from what I'm hearing and reading and seeing in the news. So, what's going to happen? I don't think any of us really know what's going to happen, but I think that YouTube is fixing to be changed forever, and we're seeing the start of that right now. Now, the bigger YouTubers like the, you know, PewDiePie and Boogie and all those guys, well, you know, it's not really going to hurt them as bad because they have other forms of revenue coming in from sponsorships and stuff like that. So the ad revenue is going to take a bite out of their incomes for sure, because a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people here on YouTube do YouTube as their living. You know, you see these channels with, you know, 800,000, a million, you know, 15 million, 6 million, whatever. They're doing this full time and making their livelihood from their videos. Their incomes have just been cut off. They're unemployed, basically. So where is this going to go? I don't know. How's it going to affect me and my channel? I may have to change my channel name if I ever expect to see any ad revenue coming back to my channel. Because as of right now, all my channels, because they're associated with the Massachusetts Prepper channel, every ad has been removed from my content. So there is no ads, you know, there's no CPM, there's no money coming in from the YouTube channel whatsoever. The one thing I will tell you, you know, this does affect everyone, and you're going to see a lot more people going to Patreon and trying to generate a little bit of income to pay for those postage and handlings and all that stuff. You know, and I'm not going to take and say that Patreon is something that I'm definitely not going to do. I don't want to, because I know you, the subscribers, you're out there working for a living, and, you know, it takes what you can do to take care of yours and yourself. And, you know, so I don't want to have to go down that road. I'm hoping that, you know, Google and YouTube will be able to come to some kind of mid-ground, or they may have to give in altogether and censor all content, which may mean that there's a longer delay in videos going up because they're going to have to be censored or whatever. And, you know, right now they do that with a bot program, you know, looking for keywords and stuff in your video to keep it from being monetized. And they've been doing this for about a year now, trying to keep this from happening, what just happened this week. And that was, you know, the majority of the ads being pulled from content. So, I mean, you go and watch some of the bigger YouTubers, and there's no ads on some of their videos. Some of them do have, you know. So those advertisers that are still advertising are probably doing so, but they're really scrutinizing, you know, who gets those ads. There's fewer ads out there right now, so they're picking and choosing who gets those. Where are we going to get the biggest bang for our buck? Where in the past it was, let's get ads on everybody's content. And a lot of this is the advertisers' fault themselves, because in their little thing, when they go to say how they want their ads done up, they can really filter it down to what kind of content they want their ads to appear on. And they're not doing that. You know, they're just kind of blanketing it out there because they want as big a bang for their buck as they can. And so most of this is their fault for not being more crucial on identifying the parameters and the filters that they want for their ads to, you know, for the content they want their ads to be on. Where I'm going to place the most blame, I'm not going to blame Google, I'm not going to blame YouTube. It's not their fault. It's not even the companies that are putting the ads out there's fault. It's the media. The media does this time and time again. They take a small thing and they blow it up into a huge thing. We see this all the time. You know, I mean, all the time. So I put all the blame on the media. And for the most part, you know, it's not really going to affect me. Yeah, I do use the revenue to send out my packages, pay for my postage and stuff like that, and to pay for some small giveaways. But other than that, it's not going to affect me at all. Is it going to affect my content? Probably not. I will say I'm probably not going to be having videos out like this one that are, you know, 14 minutes long and everybody's saying, all right, yeah, we don't want to hear you go on and on for 14 minutes. I understand. I hate long videos myself. But every now and then you get into a video that has to be longer because of the topic that you're covering. So for the most part, I'm going to try to keep little short blurps of videos, 3 to 5 minutes. That's going to be the extent of my videos. I'm still going to try to get a video up, 3 times a week. Or I may find myself putting up videos more often simply because they're going to be shorter. Shorter content. I'm still going to try to give you quality content. That's really all I got on this topic, guys. Some of you are probably, thinking, well, this is all YouTube and Google's fault, but it's not. It's the media. The media has started this whole thing and kept it going. They wouldn't let it go. They were the ones that were going to the big companies and saying, hey, are you going to follow suit with Joe Blow over here, or are you going to continue supporting terrorist organizations and extremist organizations? Are you going to continue to support bullying on YouTube? Are you going to continue to support, this radical behavior on YouTube, or are you going to take and pull your funding and not support them? That's what the big companies are doing. There's quite a list of them right now. There's probably 20 or so or more major companies that have pulled their advertising dollars from YouTube, and more coming every day. Will you survive whatever comes your way? I sure hope so. This is the Massachusetts Prepper saying, take care all.